Welcome back to the Resolution Room. This is a space where we slow down the moment before reaction and take a closer look at what's really driving conflict beneath the surface. Each episode invites you into conversations that challenge assumptions, expand perspective, and offer practical ways to move through tension with more clarity and intention. Whether you're navigating conflict in your relationships, your work, or within yourself, you're in the right place. Let's step into the room. I'd like to start with a question. Have you ever looked up from your life? Really looked up and thought, how did I get here? Not necessarily in a bad way, but in that honest, uncomfortable way where you realize that some of the patterns you've been living in, you didn't necessarily choose them. They chose you. That happened to me, and it changed everything. Now stay with me, because by the end of this episode, I think you're going to see something in yourself that you can't unsee. And I mean that in the best possible way. If you've been here since season 1 or season 2, welcome back. I've missed this space, and I think season 3 is going to be the most honest, most practical season we've done yet. And here's why. This season, we're not just talking about conflict as something that happens to you. We're going underneath it to the patterns that keep showing up. The ones you've been running on autopilot, sometimes for years, and what it actually looks like to interrupt them. That's what this season is about. Pausing the pattern and building something better in its place. But before I get into the framework we'll be working with all season, I want to tell you a short story. My story. Because the theory didn't come from a textbook. It came from a season of my own life where I had no choice but to get honest with myself. It was my second year teaching in South Korea. On the surface, everything looked fine. I had a job I was pretty good at. I was living abroad. It was fun and exciting. I was having experiences that some people only get to dream about. I was building a life. But something was off and I couldn't name it. So I did something I hadn't really done before. I got quiet and I got still, like really still. And I started paying attention, not just to what was happening around me, but to what was happening inside of me. I started looking at my patterns, and I mean all of them. How I showed up in my friendships, how I navigated conflict at work, how I handled things with my family back home, how I moved in and out of relationships, and maybe most importantly, the role I played in all of it. And what I found naturally made me uncomfortable. I saw avoidance where I thought I was being peaceful. I saw defensiveness where I thought I was protecting myself. I saw patterns I inherited from my upbringing, my culture, from years of watching how the people around me handled hard things. And I had just absorbed them without questioning it. I wasn't choosing how I responded to conflict. I was reacting. I was on autopilot every time. And once I saw it, I could not unsee it. That moment, that uncomfortable, clarifying pause, became the foundation of everything I now teach. Section 1. What is pause the pattern? So what does it actually mean to pause the pattern? Here's the thing about conflict, and I say this a lot because I think it's one of the most misunderstood things about human behavior. Conflict doesn't persist because people are bad. It doesn't persist because situations are impossible. It persists because we keep responding the same way. We have pattern reactions, and those patterns are deeply socialized. They were shaped by our families, our schools, our workplaces, and our culture. They feel natural because they're familiar, but familiar isn't the same as effective or healthy. Think about the last time you were in a tense conversation, maybe with a coworker, a partner, or a family member. What did you do? Did you shut down? Did you push back harder? Did you start explaining yourself before they even finished talking? Did you decide somewhere in the middle of it that you were right and they were just wrong? Those aren't random responses. Those are patterns. And most of us have a primary one. The four I see most often are avoidance, which looks like steering clear of the conflict entirely and hoping it resolves itself. It's usually with the intention of keeping the peace on the surface, all the while things simmer underneath. There's escalation, which is meeting tension with more tension. One raised voice leads to another, one sharp comment leads to a sharper one. Defensiveness is protecting yourself so hard that you can't actually hear what's being said. You're so busy building your case that you miss the entire point. And moral certainty. That's the belief that you are right and the other person is simply wrong. Full stop. No room for nuance, no curiosity about their perspective. That's it. Now, I want to be clear. These patterns aren't character flaws. They're learned responses. They probably served you at some point. But at another point, they stopped serving you. And you kept using them anyway. That's where the pause comes in. The pause is the moment between the trigger and the reaction. It's the space where choice lives. And most of us blow right past it without even knowing it's there. Learning to find that space and use it is what changes everything. Section 2, the resolve framework. Now, the pause is a theory, but theory without practice is just philosophy. So I built a framework. I call it resolve. And this season, we're going to come back to it again and again in different contexts, with different guests, in different situations. But let me walk you through it today so that you have the foundation. Each letter stands for a step in the process of moving from reactivity to intentionality. R is for recognize the pattern. You can't change what you can't see. This is the awareness step. What's your default? What do you do when things get tense or hard? E is for examine your role. Not to assign blame to yourself, but to understand your contribution. Every conflict has more than one person in it. What did you bring to it? S, slow down. This is the pause made practical. Before you respond, breathe. Give yourself a beat. Even 5 seconds can change the quality of what comes next. O, open your perspective. What might they be experiencing that you haven't considered? This doesn't mean you have to agree. It means you have to be just a little curious. L, listen to understand. Most of us are just listening for our opening to respond. Real listening is different. It's quieter, it's harder, but it's more powerful. V, voice your needs. State them clearly and without attack. Say what you need, not what they did wrong, not what always happens, what you need right now in this situation. E, evolve the pattern. Practice new responses. Move forward with intention, not to win and not to be right, but to actually resolve something. This framework isn't a script, it's living practice. And like any practice, it gets better the more you use it. I want you to think about a relationship in your life right now, one where there's some tension, some friction, or some unresolved things sitting between you. Just hold that in your mind as we keep going. So I want to tell you about one of my first coaching clients. She was a young woman stepping into her first leadership role at a mid-sized property management company. She's smart, capable, driven, but she was struggling. The transition from peer to leader is one of the hardest ones there is, and she was feeling the weight of it. She came to me seeking assurance, confidence, and a way to show up in her role without second-guessing every decision. We worked through the resolve framework together. We talked about her patterns, how she tended towards avoidance when things got tense, how she sometimes over-explained herself when she felt challenged, how she was so focused on being liked that she was losing the sight of being effective. And then one day she called me. She had a difficult situation with a coworker, someone who had been resistant to her leadership, and who had made things uncomfortable for her. And instead of avoiding it, which was her default, she paused and she used the framework that we practiced and had the difficult conversation. And she told me, I handled it. And I didn't lose the relationship. I actually think we're better now. The relief in her voice, the pride, the disbelief that it had actually worked, that moment is why I do this work. Because once you see what's possible when you stop reacting and start choosing, you can't go back. And watching that realization hit someone for the first time, there's nothing like it. So here's what I want you to take from today. You have patterns. We all do. And those patterns aren't your fault, but they are your responsibility. The pause is available to you in every single conflict you face in your social relationships. Every tense conversation, every moment where you feel that familial pull to your default reaction. You don't have to be perfect at this. You just have to be willing to notice. That's where it all starts, just noticing. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't even know what my pattern is, that's completely okay. That's actually a great place to start because awareness, again, is the first step. And this season, we're going to build on that together. We'll have guests who have navigated conflict in ways that will challenge and inspire you. We'll have solo episodes where I can break down specific patterns and give you tools that you can use immediately. And we'll keep coming back to the same question all season long. What would change in your life if you paused before you reacted? I think the answer might surprise you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for choosing this work. And thank you for trusting me in this space. I'm Dr. Nashay Lowe. This is the Resolution Room, and Season 3 is just getting started. If this conversation gave you something to reflect on, consider taking a moment to rate and subscribe. It helps more people find their way into these conversations. And if you're looking for a space to actually put this work into practice, you're invited to join the Resolution Society on the School Community platform. It's our space for real-time reflection, dialogue, support, and growth. If you'd like to bring a conversation like this into your organization or community, you can submit a speaking request. And if you prefer to start on your own, visit the Resolution Library for a collection of digital resources designed to help you put this into practice one step at a time. Access to our community, speaking requests, and online resources can be found at our website linked in the show notes. Until next time, keep building in the quiet because that's what will carry you forward.